it forcibly make you to the highest state. And keeping ourselves in the Samadhi state is not necessary. Actually, our real consciousness is always in the Samadhi state. Actually, in the Samadhi state, we cannot feel the consciousness itself. The consciousness is always in the Samadhi state. Our actual consciousness is always in the Samadhi state. Our body itself is always in the Samadhi state. Our mind itself always in the Samadhi state. But each and every moment, it creates some expression. And in the expression alone, the problem is there. And if you disregard the expression, that means we are in the Samadhi state. We need not expect a separate Samadhi state without any expression. We need not, that is not necessary. So if you do not have any expression, we cannot live in this world. So if you can live in this world, we have to have some expression. Bodily expression, psychological expression, it may be there. But Samadhi state is always in the back of everything. Samadhi state is there. That is the original state of our consciousness. But in the original state, it does not have any expression. It is beyond expression. And even each and every moment, because actually the consciousness cannot be divided into physical and psychological. Actually, the consciousness is expressed in the bodily consciousness. The same consciousness is expressed in the psychological consciousness. The consciousness is one and the same. And when it is expressed through body, it is bodily consciousness. If it is expressed through the mind, it is psychological consciousness. Actually, the consciousness it's in itself, it is in the Samadhi state. It has no expression. Unless it comes through the body, unless it comes through the mind, then only it has some expression. Otherwise, it has no expression. No. Sarvikalpa Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Savikalpa means but here the Savikalpa Samadhi is also a tuning of mind. So for example, if you have some idea of some vision of God or anything, or some ESP power or anything, for that the Savikalpa Samadhi is responsible. If you have some Savikalpa Samadhi, thereby you can have the vision of some godly nature, or you may have some ESP power. That is the Savikalpa Samadhi is related to that. But in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you do not have anything. You just you totally absent to the world. You totally go away from the world. You are one with the consciousness itself. That is the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you cannot get anything. But in the Savikalpa Samadhi, you can either get the vision of some godly powers, or get the ESP power, or anything. But it has nothing to do with the inquiry process. The inquiry process is only the intellectual. So an ordinary person have the intellectual idea. But here in the Samadhi, for example, you have to do meditation, you have to focus your attention, and you have to withdraw from the total world, total sensitiveness, and you have to focus your attention to some point, and then you have to have some concentration upon that point. Then you lock yourself in a place. So that is a Samadhi state. But here the inquiry process is not related to that. Inquiry process is only through your intellect. Through your intellect you can do anything. Either you can blindly admit any fact, everything is God, done by God. You can simply accept faith. You can have the faith through your intellect. Or you can inquire whether what is done like this, why it is happening like this. You can inquire. Everything is done by the intellect. The intellect creates the inquiry and come to the conclusion. Thereby, here the matter is that you have to get the liberation. Liberation is the highest state. Samadhi is a temporary state. And the real Samadhi is our consciousness. And the real Samadhi is, we are always in the real Samadhi. But this is only artificial Samadhi. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Savikalpa Samadhi is only a temporary and created Samadhi. And we have to get away from the Samadhi. But the real samadhi is our real consciousness. And we need not go there. Actually, the real consciousness also expresses itself in the various forms. We need not, actually we have to, when we are neglect everything, when we give total freedom to the expression of the real consciousness, actually the real consciousness gets importance. And in the real conscious level, there is nobody to go to the consciousness, and there is nobody to enter into the consciousness. Everything is consciousness. Everything is done within the consciousness. The consciousness is the ocean, and we are the waves within the consciousness. And but here the other kind of samadhi is only the artificial samadhis. It is only a created samadhis. But everything is a good result. Everything will have some effect. If anybody want to have some taste upon the nirvikalpa samadhi, they can make use of that.
This also that I understood that you train into the samadhis so that you get more deeper. That's if you don't even know. Inside is very superficial. You have a very stable mind like in samadhis, and your inside is very. And also I think if you really give, like you say, you give everything to God, then naturally maybe that's also naturally.
That's the giving everything in the hands of God, thereby you are not getting samadhi state. That have a liberated state. Actually, the liberation is the important state, not samadhi state.
But if you give everything in the hands to God, you don't have not anymore, then the mind is getting very calm. The mind has nothing to do anymore, so the mind is getting very calm.
So calm is not necessary, because we have to do something. Psychologically, if it is always calm without doing any expression, it is not useful. So it has to function. When it has to function, it has to create some emotion rather than anything. But at the same time, it should not catch hold of any emotion. It should not be retained. It should not be possessed by any emotion. It should not be bound by anything. So the boundaries must be broken. So whatever come must go. So anything, whatever it may be in the liberated condition. If all emotion may be there, but it may be in the liberated form. If it is in the stagnant form, it is dangerous. If it is take a world or a circle, then only it is a problem. If it is in the flowing state, it is quite okay. But samadhi state, the real samadhi state is the basic state of consciousness. And in the basic state of consciousness alone, everything comes. And we need not try to go into the basic state. The factor which is trying to enter into the basic state itself is a wave. The wave need not enter into the ocean. That is the waste of energy. But in this artificially some meditation and everything, that is a different thing. Some yoga process, we can have some samadhi state, nirvikalpa samadhi, savikalpa samadhi. That is a different state. In this also, in the nirvikalpa samadhi, we will not have any better knowledge. But here also, if you want to have any special knowledge, special intelligence, then you have to go to savikalpa knowledge, savikalpa samadhi. In savikalpa samadhi alone, we can add some special, but it is also only some external aspect. It will not give you the liberation. And the liberation alone is the natural state. And the liberation alone is the highest state.
Like experience also.
Experience. You may have some better knowledge through some process of savikalpa samadhi. You can have some better knowledge. Suppose the ESP power is also a better knowledge. You can have the vision of the previous birth, past birth, or it is a special knowledge. But ordinary person will not have the knowledge. And if the person who is having the ESP, extrasensory perception alone, have the special.
So actually, it's good maybe to more deep. Can purify you much more deeply.
So you make your mind so that some other thing can have the capacity to reflect upon your mind. So you may thereby we make our mind So some special things can reflect in this mind. Thereby we can know the past life or anything. So thereby you shape, that is shaping our mind. By shaping our mind in a condition, thereby some special knowledge can reflect upon this mind. It is only kind of shaping of mind.
Isn't it on value in like training the mind?
No, training, some training of the mind.
Practice, to some real practice like the Samadhi practice.
So here, no deeper level is not necessary. The flowing alone is ever necessary. So going to the deep means, that means you are, that there is no deep or shallow is not there. Actually, we are shaping in a particular form. We are formulating the expression of our mind. There are different kind of expression in the mind, and we shape the expression of mind in a different way. So in that expression, we have the special skill of and other things. And this is like we are having some special skill like the doctor or engineer in this line. This is also considered to be a special skill, not the real nature. The real nature is only the flowing nature. The flowing mind alone is the real mind. You are from which country? German. Your accent is very legible, but you are somewhat fast. But comparing with other people, your accent is very legible. And one of our books in German language, but it's in the website alone, not printed book. In English or in English. But in German language also it has been counted. If you go through our website, you can find. No? Original it is okay.
I like somehow very much because I listen to teachings. Many teachings, it's difficult.
When there is various aspects alone, then there is a possibility of inquiry, which is correct. When there is many variations in the teachings, then only you have to take yourself and you have to have the chance to inquire, which is correct.